Hey, Transform You family. With the 2024 election that is today, at the time of my recording, it's going on right now. And in fact, we only a couple of minutes from like the first polls closing. But the main thing I want to turn y'all heads to is that it feels like it's been everywhere. It feels like it's been everywhere. The news is constant. I mean, constant news. And whether it's doom scrolling social media, the 24-hour news cycle, or the latest outrageous tweet by whoever. I mean, it could be absolutely whoever. But the fact of the matter is, here we are. We are in the spin cycle of stress like never before.
And we'll be right back. Come with me, let's rap. Take a trip and we back. And we'll be right back. I stand for what you stand for. Hey, I get on the mic and I transform. Follow me on this world tour. The asteroid that you can't avoid. Follow me.
I never experienced so much election stress. But here's the thing. This endless scrolling might actually be frying our mental health. Yes, your mental health, my mental health, the neighbor's mental health, everybody's mental health is in a fryer getting deep fried. Okay? I ain't talking chicken. So today, we're diving deep into why we need to hit the brakes. That's right, hit the brakes, Transformers, on the negativity. I mean, there's so much of it. And we need to learn today and reaffirm ourselves today is how to stay sane through it all as we approach the close of what we will all remember as a historic election November season. And by the end, I guarantee you'll have the tools you need to scroll less, stress less, and feel way more peace. So let's break down what doom scrolling is, first of all, because we all been there. You're in bed one day, you may be sitting on the floor, what have you, just checking out a few updates. And before you know it, you end up doing? You are deep, an hour deep in a rabbit hole of the world, which is on fire, even though it's not on fire. Sean O'Neill, a licensed therapist from Westside Recovery, says that doom scrolling feeds a cycle of anxiety. Each update gets us more hooked, more anxious, and less hopeful. Basically, we create our own anxiety traps. All right, Transformers, quick break. If you're finding value in this episode, imagine what we can accomplish together with a bit more one-on-one time. I'm opening up a limited number of spots in my personal coaching program where we will dive even deeper, mapping out your transformation step by step. It's about taking these ideas and customizing them for your unique story. You hear my unique story from time to time, but I really want to know what your story is. Spots are limited, so check out the link in the description to get started. Let's make that shift together. So shout out once again to our friend over at Westside. Let me just double check the name. I don't like screwing up the name. Westside Recovery, Sean O'Neill, the clinical director over there, who's giving us the batons, so to speak, to run away with this particular topic today. So here's where it gets interesting at people. Studies show that political stress, it actually has become a public health issue. Nobody's sounding the alarm, though. You don't hear nobody sounding the alarm. You don't hear nobody talking about this on the news. That's why the Transformative Live Show is the best place to get your updates and to get your insights concerning different public health issues, which get swept underneath the rug. Okay, and especially when we're talking about your mental health and we're talking about your spiritual health as well. This is the place where you can get it at. This is the place where I'm going to give you things that's been given to me by experts like Sean O'Neill. So, public health issue, right? Total public health issue. Think about it. I want you all to think about it. The more content, especially if it's negative, you consume, the more you force your brain to have all these feelings of anger and helplessness. It's reinforcement at its finest, people. I mean, if you looking at stories that's always negative towards a certain party, and I mean, I got my opinions on which negative content comes out more on a certain candidate, but I'm not going to infuse that here. But if you constantly like consuming that, and say if you the side of the person who's receiving it the most, you're gonna start feeling like it's a personal attack on you too. I mean, think for example when that whole story came out that Trump supporters were considered garbage. I mean, you start wondering, like, what did I do? All I wanted to do is support a candidate, and I'm being called garbage. I mean, that's exactly how the media spun the story. Or when you get stories about that's coming out about uh, on the other side for here is when people are saying things that they may take offensive towards women or the LGBTQ community, especially when we talk about transgenderism. There's a lot of people who feel passionate and strongly about that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that feel very strongly about women issues, and the media and a lot of the TikTokers and a lot of people who are on X, they have created content that uh, get you to feel, anger, to get you angry, get you to feel more helpless. But here's the kicker, though. Your brain is smart. Your brain is, yeah, your brain is smart. But your brain is incredible. It's a remarkable organ. Your brain is very remarkable. It has a way to deal with these type of things. It actually can't, I mean, but you gotta, we're gonna get to like how you can, use that remarkable organ to combat this. But one thing about your brain, rather, it is brilliant, but it actually can't tell the difference between real life threats and imagined ones. Imagine that. We think that, like, as smart as we are, as intelligent we are, and how much insight we got into things, uh, the brain actually can't, tell the difference, whether or not you're really being threatened or not. And think about that, right? I want you to think about that for a minute. We find people so up in arms, and we've been wondering why. Okay, this whole entire election season, we've been wondering why. We've been thinking that, like, maybe they're being cited to it, um, or is it because of the rhetoric? It actually has more to do with the rhetoric. Okay, this, and then after the rhetoric, the rhetoric, there is, hints of incitement going on both sides. It's just not just one side. We can't just point fingers at anybody. And so when things like that get to happening, that means each scroll could be tricking your brain into a mini fight or flight response. I say it one more time. That means each scroll could be tricking your brain into a mini fight or flight response. That's crazy, right? That's crazy when you think about it. Okay, and our one thing about our brain is, although we have evolved over time, we still have this primitive side of us, where we have to rely on our survival, uh, from the way we respond to different situations that uh, come and happen. That fight or flight response has been keeping us alive, as a human species, for like since the beginning of time, since the beginning, of our our walk here on Earth, on this planet. Okay, and the thing that's different between um, the threats that our ancestors faced versus now is that these things come up now as very microaggressive. They come up very passive aggressive, and although like there's no perceived physical threat, our brain is still interpreting it as such. Okay, I mean, think about that. This probably been like one of the most peaceful times in any generation, that we have proceeded after, and I mean, yeah, there's wars going on, but when you think about what the typical America faces on a day-to-day basis, I mean, unless they're in a very high crime area, there's not going to be much physical confrontation. I mean, even with even when we think about it, there's like it, some may say, well, this generation is a snowflake generation, but I kind of beg the difference, because like trauma can appear in any form, and this whole election season could be traumatic for a lot of people, because of like so much of the rhetoric, so much of like the cyberbullying that's going on, and even I got a new term that like I'm starting to use a little bit more, and that's political discrimination. People are being discriminated because of their political stance, and that ain't right. That ain't right at all. That's some straight up BS, man. Like seriously, and and even just the whole sight of the red hat that I got on, it can really, really, they start making connections with the event that has happened, because like and such as January 6th, and they make those connections, and they tie it to anything that's reminding of that particular political uh, that political moment that happened in our history, in our not so far history. So I mean, and then there's even just people feeling like they're coming into their households to tell them what the kids should be able to do and what the kids should not be able to do. And then you have and people are very protective over their children. I know I am. As a dad, I'm very protective over my children. And so when we feel like things that we got control over, it's slipping away from us. Even with with the abortion rights, and and other things that they pad around that. Whenever we feel like a lack of control, we try to aggressively get that control back, whether that's fight or flight. And if we flighting, sometimes people they'll sweep it under the rug and say, okay, well, I'm not gonna confront that. Maybe I shouldn't confront that. Maybe I shouldn't voice my true opinion. Maybe I shouldn't voice how I really feel. At the end of the day, you're just suppressing that. You're just running away all the time, and that's going to be your response to every bit of confrontation, and especially us who are trying to recover and heal from trauma. That's just not good for us. That's not good for us to constantly, run away from small confrontations. I mean, we have to like start developing tools and developing ways to really deal with these small confrontations, and learn how to coexist, but also at the same time protecting ourselves, and that's protecting ourselves emotionally and mentally, because physically, I mean, I don't think nobody's going to go off the hanger and start literally fighting over some of this stuff. I mean, especially if you're just viewing it on the internet. Okay.
Hey, listeners, before we dive into today's episode, I've got a quick message for anyone looking to make a real impact with their brand. Here at the Transform You live show, we're all about bringing transformative stories and insights to over 20,000 plus listeners each week, and now we're opening the door for new sponsors and advertisers to join us on this journey. If you're looking to get your brand in front of a highly engaged, motivated audience, we'd love to partner with you. Imagine your message here reaching listeners who are passionate about growth, wellness, and transformation, just like you. It's easy to get started. Just shoot us a message over to our website at www.transformoomedia.com. Let's create something powerful together. Now, let's get into the show.
But Marcus, what do we do? And so what's the solution? I'm glad you thinking that. I'm glad you asked. Sean O'Neill says it's all about setting boundaries, and I cannot agree with him much more. I have to agree with him because it's truly remarkable, what setting boundaries can really do for you. And that means setting times to check the news or choosing specific accounts to follow that are constructive and not panic inducing. Okay, because like we hear a lot of crazy stuff like, if this candidate win, that democracy going to be erased completely, and this candidate may be a dictator, and this candidate is going to attack men, and because a man didn't stand with this candidate. I mean, you hear all kind of crazy stuff, and I mean, it's most of this stuff is really clickbaitish. It's really clickbaitish when you think about it, and it's terrible. It's terrible that you got certain people who like to incite fear and install fear into people. I can't imagine being that type of person that uh, be the bearer of bad news all the time, and walking around with so much bad news to spill, even if it's not true, because there's a lot of misinformation out there as well. So that's why it's very important to like vet like where you're getting your news at properly, and also vetting, accounts properly, because like not everything is going to be constructive. Just because it's on the mainstream news doesn't mean that it's right for you. Okay, what may seem right for somebody else and that they seem like they're okay, it doesn't mean that like you can consume that same content and feel all right. And who and me personally, I don't think anyone who's consuming the same type of news all day, every day are, on a normal scale, because you gotta have some objectivity in there. You also gotta have different talking points thrown at you, that are more sensitive and more careful in their approach, or people who really take the time out and do the research and give you just the facts rather than just the emotion driven spin to everything. And far as accounts, a lot of times, like some of these accounts aren't verified anyways. I really miss the blue check that used to have to earn. Nowadays, you can just purchase the blue check on Instagram and on Twitter, which is now called X. And yeah, you got a blue check now because because you showed your ID or whatever, and you're paying a monthly subscription now. You are considered uh content. Like I just don't know. I kind of miss the old days where you really had to earn your way to that blue check, and the house had to be really vetted, and they were very careful in who they allowed to be a verified account. So again, just stay away from like stuff that's like not constructive, and what's constructive once again is just research driven, facts, people who take the time out to be careful in their approach and deliver of like messages and of like things related to the election and the potential outcome of the election, because we don't know what the outcome going to be, and we don't know what's on the other side. So why catastrophize over it? Why hit the panic button when there's no reason to do so? Okay, we have like been going through different election cycles as long as we've been here, and from far as like aside from January 6th, elections are pretty safe, and transfer of power usually happens, and when it happens, we still can pretty much live our unless there's really something that really affects us, and if it and if it does happen, we got ways to deal with it, but until the end, we gotta imagine ourselves in a different way on how we handle our news feeds. Okay, so while I'm on the whole topic of imagination, take a moment right now to imagine that your news feed is your personal gym, right? And I love going to the gym. I got plenty of videos on my Instagram of me working out, and on my TikTok. So if you ever get the chance, go check out my TikTok, my Instagram, Marcus Hart_official. So like, but back to it though. So like, your news feed should be like your personal gym. You don't have to walk in and start lifting the heaviest weights first thing. Don't do that, especially if it's your first time walking into the gym. No. So you need to warm up first. Okay. You need to warm up, whether that's jogging in place, maybe that's some jump rope, whatever, so you got to warm up first. Then you choose your equipment carefully. You choose your equipment carefully, and then you take breaks, right? You don't just constantly, pounding away at it. What usually happens, it results in an injury. So the whole point of that whole uh, visualization that I had you like do with like the gym, and how in your personal gym you got to warm up, you got to choose your equipment carefully, and you got to take breaks. It's just the same thing with your news feed. You treat it as such. Okay, don't look at the thing, the clickbait thing that's going to like really um, move you in the worst way. It's just like that is so extreme that like it puts your emotions and your response to it at an extreme. So warm up first. Start with something funny. Maybe start with something funny. Okay, and choose who you follow. Choose who you decide to consume from, and take breaks. Don't be on there all day, hours straight. That's just crazy. That's craziness, man. Don't do that. It's not good for your eyes, anyways. All right. And you might be wondering, okay, well, how can I do this? Marcus, I cannot do this. I hear what you're saying, but I just cannot do it. And I just got to argue back with you. You absolutely can do it. We can replace mindless. First of all, it's mindless, so you're not really using your mind. You're not being right there in the present. We can replace the mindless scrolling with activities that actually make us feel good. Okay, remember I was talking about those breaks. Things you can do on the break. There's plenty of things you can do on the break. And I think I might have mentioned some things earlier. If not, you about to get it right here. You about to get it right here. So what can you do? Number one, we can go for a walk. Ain't nothing like going for a walk. Like just even like a quick 5-minute walk, just to get that fresh air, just to get your legs moving. I mean, it's great, and especially when you getting challenged by either by your Fitbit, or if you got the app on your phone like to track your steps. That's when it really becomes like a very engaging and very fun for you, when you actually can see that there's something uh, to benefit from walking. There's a benefit to walking, and there's you can get those calories burned. You can get like 150 calories burned, and like maybe a 20-minute walk, 10-20 minute walk. I mean, if you want to walk for 20 minutes, I mean, but even if you don't walk outside, you can you can walk, walk up and down your stairs, walk around your room in circles. And while you're doing that, you can call a friend. Maybe you're on the phone with your friend and walking around through the house, to get yourself moving and to take the necessary break. But make sure you call a friend that is supportive. Make sure you call a friend that's maybe funny, or call a friend that's always got some good news, or a friend, or a friend that that likes getting advice from you. I like talking to people who love getting advice from me about things because I'm ready to give that advice, and it also makes me feel like I'm helping. You know, um, the thing about helping people is it really removes the whole attention off yourself. It takes you out of your mind. It takes you out of your emotion because you have to invest that time, that moment right there to actually like figure out a solution for that person, especially a friend that's in need and really cares and really respects your opinion about things. And then, of course, my favorite, it should be your favorite too, meditation. Meditation is great. God, you know, I wish I could meditate for hours upon hours, but I wouldn't get anything done, of course, if I did that. So I sometimes I break my sessions up into like small sessions of like 10 minutes. I mean, just 10 minutes of meditation is incredible. The benefits of just a small session like that, even if you did 10 minutes a day, or, maybe you just, maybe you can't do it every day. Maybe you do 10 minutes one day, and then, if you got a little bit more time, you invest a little bit more time and take that up to 15 up to 20. And the best time is in the morning, during the day, like after lunch or before lunch, and right before you go to bed. I mean, if you can fit in some time, I encourage you to do that. To have that quiet time to allow for your breathing to be the whole focus, so you can quiet the mind, relax the body, relax the muscles, and really just uh, you know suck in the things that like aren't from the outside, but more from like just that inner peace that you building within, and drawing from, like, God, or you may say spirit or divine. But I really feel like that's that quiet time, um, with the spirit, with the spiritual realm, and that gives you, it allows you to tap into something, um, and it really is really get the time to really kind of scan your body, and scan what's happening within, while at the same time getting some like controlled oxygen flow into the body. And of course, with that, you can transform right into prayer. You can convert right into prayer from meditation, and vice versa. You can pray and then meditate. For me, I do either or. Sometimes I pray and then meditate. Sometimes I meditate and then pray. And I find that like my prayers are a little bit more heartfelt, and I'm a little bit more focused. When I'm praying, when I know that I'm either about to meditate, or I know that I just had that quiet time. It seems like I can really really vent, and really like pay attention to, like, what it is I really need to communicate to God. Okay, and with that too, like, I mean, if I'm frustrated about something, I can get that all taken care of in that prayer session. You know, or if there's something I'm concerned about or anxious about, I can get it right there done in that prayer session. But the whole point that I'm trying to make is we need to fill that time with things that recharge us. These are things that recharge us, like, getting some movement with walking, calling a supportive, a loving friend, or a friend that needs your help. I mean, it can be a family member too. It doesn't just have to be a friend. People who are on your side, and people who feel like you're on their side, and that you totally get them. Meditation, which is very recharging, because it forces you to get that oxygen flow going, and also at the same time, while focusing on your breaths, you can quiet the mind. You can feel yourself, kind of like have a sudden, some moment of stillness, where you're not focused on anything, but just breath work. So, and then prayer recharges us too, because once we empty ourselves We empty those emotions that that we don't really understand or we don't know what to do with, and we just give it over to God. We can definitely be recharged from that. We can walk away from that whole session feeling ready to take on whatever. And personally, like I said, I've been using morning exercise and deep breathing. It's like giving my brain a total reset button. I love getting my exercise done as early as the morning as I possibly can. I try to aim at getting up at 5:30 and hitting the gym by 6. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. I try not to be rigid, and don't be rigid with your routines. I mean, if you can, keep a constant schedule, so be it. But if you can't, don't worry about it. But definitely that deep breathing, right, right when I'm about to warm up, take some deep breathing sessions, or I sit down and deep breathe right before I go into a meditation session in the morning. I mean, it's been my go-to, my magic go-to, my secret weapon for getting my day going, and it gives my brain the rest and reset, the relaxing and resetting that I need. Okay, so yeah. Now where was I? Okay, there's so much noise out there. I mean, so much, isn't it? I mean, every single day there's been a new headline, a new controversy, and some explosive tweet or clip. And that's going to continue. It's going to continue. It ain't going to stop until we get a brand new president. Okay. I mean, that's just the way it is. And sure, man, a lot of it sounds important and sometimes it is. I don't know, but let's be real for a second. Not every piece of election news truly impacts your day-to-day life. That's the thing. That's why it's just news. That's why it's just news. Okay, it's just a headline. It's news. Okay, it's just giving you what's new. It don't necessarily got to change your day-to-day life. Now, before you get to start thinking, but Marcus, isn't it our duty to stay informed? Yes, absolutely. But being informed is only part of being engaged in our democracy. But there's a difference between staying informed and just getting lost and drowned it under the noise. You don't want to do that. Okay. And that's where and that's what I'm trying to break down right now. That's what we're breaking down together right now as you continue to stay with me on this. So stick with me on this. And I want you to picture this right now. Here's another picture. Look, you're at a concert, right? You're there to see your favorite band. But in the middle of their set, random background sounds start getting louder and louder until you can't even hear the music you came for. Especially for you Taylor Swift fans out there. Yeah, I can imagine. I can see you getting frustrated because instead of enjoying the show, which would happen to most of you, you're just straining just to hear the melody through the noise. And well, that's what news consumption can feel like a lot of times. That's what it feels like right now. If we're not careful, we're getting lost in the sound without actually enjoying or learning from what's planned. What do we do about it? Here's a strategy that I use myself. I call it targeted news consumption. It's like putting on noise canceling headphones like the ones I got on right now, but it's for your mental health. And there's a way it works. This is how it works. Starting with step one. Step one, start focusing on topics that directly affect your life and community. Let's say you're passionate about education and you want to know where candidates stand on public school funding, teacher pay, or the curriculum. When you follow the election, zero in on those issues and those issues alone. If it doesn't relate to what matters most to you, it might not be worth your mental energy in the first place. Also, look at what's happening locally, because that's what matters the most. Our local news. So often we get too hyper focused on the national stage, and then what we think that's happening in Pennsylvania is affecting us in Wisconsin. What we think is happening in Wisconsin is affecting us in California. What we think that's happening in Texas affects us. But think about this: local candidates and their policies can have a much faster and direct impact on things like housing, care service, even the safety of your neighborhood. Isn't those things important? So in my own case, I live in Milwaukee County. It has its own set of issues that differ from, say, what's happening in San Francisco or New York. So instead of diving deep into news that's more relevant to other cities, I put my focus right here on policies that impact my family and my community. That's why earlier on in my career in media, I used to interview a lot of like local candidates. I didn't really care about too much about the national candidates, you know. And at some point, I'm going to go back to that. We're going to have local elections coming up again, in the next year and a half, I think. And when that happens, I'm definitely going to, bring on some local candidates and interview them on the Transform You Live show, the best show for mental health and spirituality. So now let's get tactical with step 2, because like now we got to move on to step 2. Let me tell you what you do. Make your news routine international. We didn't think about that, right? Set a limit on how often you check in the news or scrolling. For me, I check in twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. Just enough to stay updated, but not so much that it takes over my entire day. Besides, I don't want, all this different stuff filtering into like, the content that I create either. I try to stay on point with the content I create. So it's very important that you learn how to find your sweet spot and don't allow the extraness to, dilute you as a person who have your own set of beliefs, own set of values. If you think about it, the media is designed to pull you in. That's how they make money. That's how they gotta pull you in. There's always a breaking story, always a live update. But here's the reality of it. Most news isn't that urgent. It isn't that urgent, especially for your life, okay? If you're limiting your news consumption to specific times, you're already ahead of the game, okay? If you watch the 10 o'clock news at night, you watch the 6 o'clock news in the morning, that's probably all you need. You don't need like every minute, every hour, every second. Like what's the latest trend that's going on? What are people Googling? You don't need that. Unless you're trying to be a news journalist. I don't know. But let's get to step 3, because step 3 is going to be additionally important. Balancing the news you consume with content that's positive and neutral, just like your physical diet. Think about your physical diet. You need a mental diet too. Your mental diet needs variety. It doesn't just need one thing. Don't brainwash your own self. So if you spend 10 minutes reading up on the candidate's policies, maybe balance that with something that uplifts you. Maybe it's a hobby. Maybe it's a spiritual practice, or just some entertaining content that makes you laugh. Or maybe it's the Transform You Live show, the only show where you can make real life transformation. Remember, our brains are like sponges. Constantly absorbing negative content leaves us feeling drained, feeling stressed, and even cynical. But when you mix it in with uplifting or balanced material, you're creating a perfect mental equilibrium. You're actually giving yourself space to process rather than piling on layer upon layer upon layer of just information that don't even benefit you. They don't even help you. Okay? Now, here's my final step for keeping your news consumption meaningful. Okay? Stay grounded in your own values. I talked about values just a minute ago. You know what your value is, your values are, and stay grounded in them. There's always going to be hype. It's going to be hype. I mean, the news flashes are going to be crazy all the time. Always going to be sensationalized headlines that triggers a certain reaction in you and in the next person. But if you're clear about what truly matters to you and what you stand for, whether it's your family's well-being, your community's safety, or just your spiritual peace, which should be the most important thing, then you have a compass. You know which direction you're going in. Don't let nobody take you in the wrong direction. You're less likely to get lost in what doesn't align with those core values. Know what those core values are. Speak them out if you need to. For me, my values of community, mental health, and spirituality guide what I pay attention to the most. So I'm not letting every single headline throw me off course, incite me to some type of rage or frustration, and totally just take me out of the game. And you shouldn't either, my friends. So as we're getting closer to the close of all the polls. Right now, we need to reset together. Let's reset together. Why don't we do that? Okay? Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Take one more and breathe it out. Release the news. Again, take a deep breath in and blow it out. And as you're blowing out, release the news. You are in control of your mind. Total control. You're in control of your peace and your space. And you need to let that be the energy you carry, not only today, but after today. It's too easy to get jammed up and get caught up in all of this. I don't want that for you. I want you to have control, of the things that you can absolutely control. And that, my friend, starts with like controlling your mind. You don't have to let this outside noise control your mind. You don't have to let people who don't care about you, control you. You don't have to let just news that is not even relevant to your space take you out of your peace, and take you out of your space to go chase after it. Because sometimes we get so entrenched in this and so invested in this that we're going spaces that that's not even for us. Okay, we can't allow our peace to be disrupted. Peace is so important, and there's a lot of people who is ready to fight tooth and nail over things that's just not that doesn't apply to them. Okay, not all of these issues apply to you directly. Just again, we got to think about what matters most to us. We got to think about what matters most to us. We can't allow our peace to be thrown off, and then we're walking around carrying all of this anger and hate and frustration, and we taking it out on our family members that live with us. We're taking it out on our co-workers. We're taking it out on our clients. We run a business, and everything just seemed crappy. And because like we were so upset about something we seen on the news or heard on X or on TikTok, we can't allow these things to disrupt our peace and disrupt our opportunity to just be happy and have a true ounce of sanity. Okay, don't let your sanity go away from you. I've been there before. I remember returning back from the Iraq War, and when I returned back from deployment, anything concerning the war, would just trigger me. Anything that was, political would trigger me, because I just felt like the whole world was starting to just, dump the nonsense on me. I feel like I was carrying the nonsense of the world. And for that, I was just a quick-tempered person, just a very angry man. And, nobody wanted to, enjoy my company. I didn't even want to enjoy my own company. These things can quickly escalate into suicidal thoughts. You don't want that. Okay, we just had a Milwaukee author person, rest in peace to him, who took his own life. A political figure took his own life. And news like that can be very triggering. But that's local news right there. There's local news that gets you thinking gets you thinking about well, we think so much about the national candidates, and we forget about the very own people who's like in charge of our communities, who need our support too, who need our attention too. Okay, I mean, these people are not superhuman just because they're on the news and they're in the media more than we are. They're not superhuman. Okay, and there's nothing that they can do that can better your peace and better your space without you doing it for yourself. Okay, you gotta have good energy. You gotta allow the energy to come in, I just want to keep you guys encouraged, man. I care about you guys, and if you feeling the pressure to, feel free to talk about it. Feel free to talk about it because there's a lot of people feeling this pressure. There's a lot of people that's not going to be happy, but like because you on the Transform You Live show today and you choose to tune in, you're going to break free from this. You're going to take a step back from the news, and and if you're ready to do that, if you're ready to find peace, if you're ready to take a step back from the chaos, smash that like button. Smash it right now. Smash that like button and drop a comment to let me know if you're feeling any pressure or if you just got any concerns, if you want to, for me to like chime in more about. I love to hear it. Remember to subscribe. Subscribe to the pod if you want more empowering mental health tips. We're all in this together. And the pod is not just only on YouTube if you watch it. The pod is also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, anywhere that you consume, podcast information. I think we got the best reported. We got the best insights into all that you need that's going to keep you positive, keep you from not being triggered. Okay. I want to continue to do that for you. But I need you guys' support to help me to do that. So it's very important to get you guys' support and that you really show me that you really truly are, transformer. So here we are, everybody. We right at the heart of it all. And we covered a lot today. We covered so much in so little time. It seemed like having. But from setting boundaries to staying grounded, we talked about ways to navigate this election season with a sense of purpose and peace. But here's the real heart of what I want you to take away from it all. And I'm going to say it again. I got to keep repeating this. It's control your peace. No, I just said it, but I'm saying it again because I can't stress it enough. Control your peace. Look, the world around us is noisy. It's so noisy. There's no doubt about it. Every time you turn on the news or check your phone, it feels like something new is fighting for your attention, your energy, your spirit, most importantly. And when we constantly consume that without filtering it, we end up feeling exhausted, anxious, or maybe even hopeless. But guess what? The power to protect your mind and your heart is actually in your hands. I keep telling you guys this. I keep telling you guys this because I mean it and I truly love you. So as we move forward, move towards like decision time on election day, or whenever the decision is gonna be made, or however, I want you to remember that you don't have to let the headlines control your heart. I know that sounds easier said than done, very easier said than done. But think about this. Every headline, every tweet, every debate, all of it is external. What does external mean? That means it's outside of you. You get to choose how much power it has over your internal world. That doesn't mean we get to ignore what's going on or pretend it doesn't matter, because some things do matter. But being informed is the most important part about this. Being informed. But there's a difference between staying informed and letting yourself be consumed. Don't be the consumer all the time. You have the right to draw a line where the line needs to be drawn. A line that protects your mental health, your peace, your peace, your peace, and your well-being. Whew. Now take a moment right now to just breathe once again, even though we breathed earlier. I'm serious. Let's take another breath together. Inhale and exhale. Let go of whatever stress you might be holding. Because at the end of the day, the only person who can truly protect your peace is you. And here's another thing. Let's talk about what you can control. You might not be able to control who wins or loses this election. You might not be able to control the narratives in the media, but you can control your reactions. Underline that. You can choose how much of your energy goes into worrying about things that you can't change. That choice alone is powerful. So powerful. I want you to remember that the most important vote you'll cast isn't on the ballot. That most important vote is for yourself. You vote for your peace when you decide to limit your news intake. You vote for your mental health when you take breaks to connect with friends or family. You vote for your resilience when you choose to focus on what truly matters to you. So as this season unfolds, give yourself permission to step back when you need to. Engage meaningfully with what aligns with your values and release the rest. Know that your peace, your mental health is worth more than any trending topic or headline. I mean that. If you resonated with this today, if you're ready to reclaim your peace in the midst of the noise, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. Let's share this message because we all deserve a little bit more peace. And if you're not already subscribed, join us here at the Transform You for more insights, encouragement, and tools to help you stay grounded in a fast-moving world. Drop a comment too. I want to know what's one way you're protecting your peace this season. Let's build a community here, a space where we support each other's journey toward a life rooted in calm and intention. Thank you for being here, for choosing to invest in yourself. Remember the power to create a calm mind, a calm heart, and a life aligned with peace. That power is yours. Don't forget to use it. See you next time on the Transform You Live show. Many blessings, peace, and lots of love. I'm out.
I stand for what you stand for. I'm at your door like the landlord. I can see the future, yeah, I fast forward. I get on the mic and I transform. Follow me, I'm in rare form. Follow me on this world tour. The asteroid that you can't avoid.